the Michael Wacha thing. I wanted to talk about what could happen with Michael Wacha. Should they take Michael Wacha's club option, which they can do? So this is what would happen with Michael Wacha. This is his contract right now. So $16 million club option for next year and $16 million club option for 2025 that the Padres can take. But here's the thing. The Padres would have to pick up those club options at the same time. So if they pick up the club option for 2024, they're also picking up a $16 million club option for 2025. Do they want to give Michael Wacha $32 million combined over the next couple seasons after this season when he has had an injury history? This is only one season. Shoot, he had an injury this year that he's just coming back from. Do they want to do that? Or do they want to make a effort at bringing back Blake Snell? Obviously, he's pitching like the best pitcher in baseball right now. So there's questions here. If the Padres don't take those club options there for Michael Wacha, then Michael Wacha can opt into a $6.5 million player option for 2024. There's a player option for $6 million for the year after that. And then there's a $6 million player option for the year after that as well in 2026. But obviously, those player options come if he takes the player option for the year prior, right? Do I see the Padres or do I see Michael Wacha taking those player options? No, I don't. He's pitching too well unless he gets hurt at the end of this season. And even then, he might not take it because $6.5 million, he would easily make that on the free agent market, I think. Easily. The way he's pitching, sub 3 ERA, pitcher of the month. I mean, I think he was in the conversation to be one of the all-star replacements in Seattle earlier this summer. Like, he's pitching really well. And yeah, there's the injury risk, but he can definitely make that on the free agent market. So for me, I'm leaning towards giving Michael Wacha those club options, taking those club options, and just, hoping that there's not a whole lot of injuries over the next couple of years. Because if they let him go to free agency, then that's another starter you're going to have to bring in. That's probably not going to be as good as Michael Wacha, unless you're bringing in like Shohei Ohtani, right? Um, Probably not as good as Michael Wacha. He's not going to be familiar with the organization coming in, and just who knows what the heck's going to happen there, right? And you can control how many starters you have in the rotation going into next year if you bring Wacha back, right? Partly, you'd have Wacha, you'd have, I think, Nick Martinez if you want to include him competing for a starter spot. You'd have Darvish, you'd have Musgrove, Lugo. I believe there is a option on Lugo. Let me look up Lugo's contract here real quick. Lugo contract. Player options. Player option for $7.5 million. Maybe Lugo doesn't take that because he's pitching well this season. So I could see him not taking that and being a free agent. So let's say Lugo does take that, but they bring Wacha back. That means that they will have at least 3 guys in that rotation for next year in Wacha, Darvish, Musgrove. And then you can see what happens with Lugo, Wacha. Bring maybe one of them back, or you can bring Snell back, I should say. And then there's free agent starters available, or you can make a trade. We'll see what happens there. But I think you might see the Padres bring Michael Wacha back, take those club options at the same time for 24 and 25, so they have that starter, that third starter in the rotation. So they don't have to bring in another starter on top of that. And you just hope that Wacha ends up not getting hurt. Because if they don't take that, they might end up having to pay more for Wacha in free agency based on what other teams offer him, right? So they can control things here. I'm very interested in seeing what that decision's going to be with Michael Wacha. I'm interested in seeing what Seth Lugo does with that player option. Does he like it very much with the Padres? And if the Padres give him another starting opportunity in 24, will he take that player option and try to have another good year and then go into free agency the year after that and get a bigger contract because he can prove it back-to-back years of being a successful starter? We'll see what he does there. I would think Lugo doesn't take the player option, and there's no way Wacha's going to take the player options unless like something terrible happens to him this season, which obviously we're hoping doesn't happen because with Musgrove out especially, don't know if he's even gonna return this season. Wacha is a very important piece to this Padres team if they wanna go to the postseason because he sets the Padres up well. He has a really good record these last couple seasons, win-loss record, and I know that doesn't mean as much as it did, a decade ago, right, where that was, like, the big stat, that and ERA, but when you have a good win-loss record, I know the offense has to perform, but you gotta be doing your job, right? You're not gonna have a tremendous win-loss record if you're giving up 5 runs a game. So he is doing his job. So I'd like to have at this point, I'd like to have Walker back for next season. And for those that say, "Well, you're paying a lot of money," like, because there's other do you wanna bring Gary back? Do you wanna bring Snell back? Walker? That's Lugo. That's a lot of guys that you're bringing back on a team that's under 500 that hasn't had a successful season. Do you wanna do that? Well, what I would say to that is those players that I'm pointing out there, they've helped the Padres this year. It's not like that's Matt Carpenter or someone that just hasn't done their job this season that they're spending a bunch of money on and bringing back. Those guys have helped the Padres this season get to where they're at right now, which is in striking distance. And I know some fans might not want to hear that because they just don't have a good record, but that's the facts. They're within striking distance of a playoff spot. That's for sure.